Welcome back to the Bronx Journal. Do you think Latinos are fairly represented in the media? Do you see enough Hispanic faces on television? Well, there's a national organization fighting to make sure that the image of Latinos is a lot more fair and balanced than it has been in the media. It's called the National Latino Media Coalition, and the founder of the New York chapter is with us today. Marta Garcia, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Marta, tell us a little bit about what this organization is about. You've been around, well, the organization has been around since 1986.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Okay, to look at where we are today, we have to go back in history from that 1986 moment when we were actually visiting local station managers and local executives and basically practically begging to be heard. Fast forward, in 1998, an LA writer, Greg Baxton, wrote a piece that really shook us up in terms of how we were looking on broadcasting and primetime television and how much brown faces were missing. With that article, we speared into action and actually created or began to galvanize all the other groups, because we knew we were talking about not only Latinos, but Asian Pacific Americans, Native Americans, African Americans, and how we were all missing in the picture. So we galvanized all of these groups and created something called a multi-ethnic media coalition. That coalition, bringing all of those groups together and the partnership, moved on to create what we now call the National Latino Media Council, of which we are a member. And we became the secretariat of that group, in essence. And it's spearheaded by former Congressman Esteban Torres. What the result of all of those efforts was that we met with the executives of ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, and we came out after a long battle with a memorandum of understanding that has several very important...
Basically like a little contract that they sign with the organization agreeing to do certain things.
Exactly. And the elements of that MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is important because it is not only about bringing in the talents, the writers, the producers that are out there that we know very well exist and that were never even heard, or did not have those voices inside the networks and nor their executives, nor their production teams. It led to something very important, which was the forceful access to the network executives, that they said, you know what, we really need to hear you guys out. Your guys, the numbers of Latinos in the country are growing, and yes, it is time to sit down and talk about this.
Let me take you back to the 1980s, though. What was the, because we do see more Latinos, maybe thanks to your organization, we do see more Latinos faces on television, but what was it like back then, and what was the excuse? Because from what I recall, maybe they were just saying to us, oh, we just can't find the Latino talent, and it was out there, right?
Right, we always heard that. As a matter of fact, it's disturbing to say that we still hear that. As much experiences as we've had with network executives, and we like to call it educating them, that we're still hearing that. So that's still an issue. But what we saw then is much of what we see now. And what is the reason? Depending on where you come from, my position is it's discrimination on the one hand, and the other part is ignorance. I think there's more out there in terms of the data and the numbers that we represent and our purchasing powers, which of course raises the issues of where are advertisers now. But we've seen an incremental change. And I have to coin or underline incremental, because in terms of the numbers and the growing numbers of Latinos, we're still not seeing the great jump that we would have liked to see. We went from primetime television, for example, on sitcoms in 1999 during the brownout, it was like less than 2%. of Latinos on primetime television. Now we say, respectfully, a 6%, and I said respectfully that might have been a success story. But again, if you look at the numbers, is it really a success story?